All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, got a couple of super chats already. Freedom of speech. Why no free chat? There is. You can chat for free. Have a blast doing it. You can also donate a couple dollars like you did, and you can chat there as well. Mike L2535. Hey, Sticks, ever tinker with your stinker? Nope, I'm not into that. Just to be clear. I'm not a liberal, so, we've got differences of opinions with regards to sphincterbation, It's just a thing. Hello, Morgan J. Good morning to you as well. I've watched some of your videos. We'll be, let's see. We've got a lot on the docket today. We've got the Desantis Newsom debate in focus. Actually, the debate itself, better than expected. I've watched some of the highlights and so forth from it. But there is one particular meme that bears mentioning. It's link in the description. It's not archived, I think. It's a video clip. Holy shit, Trump just posted this on Instagram. Trump is the king of trolling. You should watch that. If you watch nothing else all day, some people were saying they spit out their coffee laughing watching this shit. I can imagine when I saw this morning, oh my God, it was so fucking goddamn hilarious. Alan Smithy, no more super chats. That's about all. Peace out. Yeah, sometime I should do that. I'll start a live stream and I'll go for like 5 minutes and then just randomly end it in the middle of it or something. That'd be funny. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the Desantis and Newsom matchup, how it matters, how it doesn't matter, my thoughts on the debate itself, basically. We've also got the death of the old Europe and the rise of the right. We're going to be talking about late-stage decadence and why Europeans should have hope for the fairly near future, actually. And people in other parts of the world, Latin America, hopefully North America. We're definitely hoping for that. Of course, as a U.S. citizen, I'm hoping for the return of MAGA populism in 2024, mainly because I don't want to start World War III or go down the road of communism. We've got Tucker Carlson. He endorsed Donald Trump explicitly the other day. He had been appearing with him, so, I mean, the idea was clearly he supports him more, but now there's an explicit endorsement, not an implicit one. The administrative state, we'll be talking about the Supreme Court and some of the goings-ons with regards to bureaucracy. We're not necessarily sold on the idea that the Supreme Court is going to solve our problems because we're not crazy. As clankers, we need to understand there are limits to the Supreme Court's willpower. But I'm hopeful that the bureaucracy at least will be taken down a peg in that case. And it involves, of course, Donald, evil orange man. He's trying to get rid of the bureaucrats. Like, that would be a bad thing. Alarian Horizon. DeSantoids crying about Tucker's endorsement. LMAO. Yeah, they're big mad at Tucker Carlson. They loved him up until a few months ago. Now, then they had a problem with him because he appeared with Trump a few times. Now they have a big problem with them. Not so dead as a dodo. De-extinction plan to reintroduce bird to Mauritius. Yes, they are trying to revive the dodo bird. I strongly support this. I will explain why. I also support de-extincting any other animal or plant that is possible to do so for. I don't feel threatened by this science whatsoever. There are a couple of caveats, though. There's some nuance with regards to my views on de-extinction. I did make a video on it a couple of years ago. That was in reference, I think, to the woolly mammoth, if I remember correctly, and how it would be asinine to bring like only one back and it doesn't have any other animal to interact with. It'd be kind of sad. With dodos, I think you could pull it off without a hitch. And Rand Paul saving one of his fellow members of Congress. Rand Paul performs Heimlich on fellow GOP senator. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa thanked Senator Rand Paul in a post on X. So he is really walking the walk, being the doctor that he is, the actual accredited medical doctor. So not like Jill Biden, not like many other self-professed doctors, actually does medicine. Has performed thousands of free eye surgeries, actually, on kids in Africa. Cam Benson. Hey, Sticks, if a cow doesn't produce milk, is it a milk dud or an utter failure? I'd say I prefer utter failure. I think that one's more funny. Yeah. Lillian, Anton, have you or could I shout you out on Timcast? They have been eating biltong now for a while. Yeah, I guess the Timcast people have gotten in on the biltong thing too. Anton's going to be, he's going to be set up, man. He's got to get definitely a bigger setup going because his biltong is definitely top notch. He sent me, you wouldn't believe the amount of meat. I expected him to send me a couple packets, like a sampler pack or something of the biltong. Instead, there was this big-ass package that would barely fit in the bottom level of the fridge. I open it up. There's like 14 packs of meat in there. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm not going to be able to get through it all during my brief trip to Rutland. I did manage to get through it by giving a few to my sister and to my half-brother, actually. So everyone enjoyed it. It was delicious. Big the Gangsta Cat. Jean Mihela, Oni Lipona Tawami. You heard it here first. Sticks likes men. Lol. Yeah, you can pay me to say all sorts of vulgar shit. As long as it won't get me banned, you can pay me a couple dollars and I'll say whatever you want me to say. Devin Selnes, Nick Fuentes has the correct take on Gaza. America first. I haven't seen his take on Gaza. I hope it's let's not get involved and let's sit back and do absolutely nothing because it's just goddamn stupid, but you know, I don't know. I haven't seen that actually. Anyway, we'll get right into the news. First, with regards to the Desantis Newsom debate. First and foremost, and I pointed out yesterday, I was rooting for Desantis because, you know, fuck, I'm not going to root for goddamn Gavin Newsom, the anti-gunner, the high taxer, the NIMBYist masturbator. Yeah, I'm really going to root for him. I know that there were some Trump fans that actually were kind of rooting for Newsom because DeSantis is in a primary against Trump. Newsom's not in a primary. And Trump was trolling DeSantis. Again, link in the description. That being said, on that one, I'm going to be Team DeSantis. And he did better than expected. My expectation was that DeSantis would get bogged down because Newsom is sort of like a sleazy, greasy, used car salesman sort. So he likes to talk around things and not really get to the issue. And DeSantis did clobber him a couple of times. Did you see the poop map, which was trending on Twitter? The map of San Francisco with all of the poop emojis on it, showing where people were street shitting like it was a third world country. That one is pretty bad for Gavin Newsom. And keep in mind, DeSantis is running now, but Newsom definitely intends to run in the future. I would be extremely surprised if in 2028 he does not throw his hat in the ring. That could be a career-ending move. DeSantis may end up losing he will. Losing against Trump. Trump goes on, whether he wins the general or not is irrelevant to this point. Regardless, and still in the end, he has served his purpose by cock-blocking Gavin Newsom. He did better than expected. He was actually more coherent than he usually is in debates and speeches. He did fairly well. On immigration, there was another doozy moment. Gavin Newsom attempted to trot out the false concept that more Floridians had moved to California than Californians had moved to Florida. The problem is he was using a per capita metric, and Florida has fewer people in it. The truth is that more Californians by far are moving to Florida and other states, by the way, as well, Texas especially, certain other places also, then are moving into California. California has a problem because people are fleeing the state because of massive taxes, high crime, anti-gunnery, the regulatory burden, small business. I mean, why the fuck would you want to start it in California? You're going to start it in Texas or Florida. You'd rather start it maybe in New Hampshire or someplace like that. You're not going to start it in California. Not unless you're suicidal or you have mommy and daddy's credit card and you're a trust fund kid and you just have an idea that involves skateboards or something like that. California is a dump. And DeSantis exposed that with the poop map. I thought that was really, really great. Nonetheless, the real winner of that debate was Donald Trump, not Ron DeSantis. Gavin Newsom comes in a distant third. Newsom was not as coherent and on focus as expected, at least from what I saw of the debate. DeSantis did quite a bit better than expected, which is to his credit, by the way. So congrats to him. I mean, as far as Newsom goes, you clobbered him. On multiple issues as well, immigration via state, the poop map. People are going to remember that for a while. hopefully into the 28 election. But the real winner is Donald Trump, because the thing is that Ron DeSantis decided to debate someone who's not actually running for the presidency, at least not at this time. It's a distraction. It makes it look desperate. And people are pointing out that the real funny part is like this meme. Again, link in the description. If you watch nothing else today, watch this. This is an epic troll of Ron DeSantis. Is it sour grapes? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Look, you're fucking around with Trump. He's going to troll you. And I see DeSantis, simps are angry about this. What you should be doing is celebrating the fact that he clobbered Gavin Newsom. At least that would give you a little bit of clout and leverage. Instead, you're fixated, once again, you took the bait, you're fixated on Orange Man bad. You're not even celebrating Ron DeSantis' tacit victory over Gavin Newsom. You're just rambling about Donald Trump again with this the fake Hannity debate coverage here, the deep faked audio and so forth. And again, I don't understand it. Why are DeSantis fans so easily taken in by clickbait? I don't know. Watchman State. Hello, have a clank on me, your resident game developer. Thank you. Not a banned account. Will another pandemic force mail-in voting 2024? It seems they will fail at that because, of course, I can't really mention why on a YouTube live stream, but if you go back 2 days and watch my new tech exclusive with regards to the Chinese pneumonia cases, it seems that they have failed. Sparky, but Whoopi Goldberg indicated that Dr. Jill Biden was a great medical doctor on The View. Yeah, she has some issues. I mean, she's Whoopi Goldberg, so. Celestial 123. The problem with the Constitution is it provides no penalties to those who violate it. Anyone pushing gun control should be charged with sedition. I agree, although who metes out the charge? The court system? Well, that's a politicized court system. It'd become a problem. Amasang, be sure to drink your Ovaltine. I drank that as a kid, but it's too sweet for me. I don't like sweets. Super Mario, where can I buy the white and or black European style linen shirts you wear on your videos? They are awesome. If you mean the tan one with the design on it, that's actually not a European shirt. That's from Thailand. And I think made in India, actually. My father-in-law has given me a couple of those shirts. They're really, really nice, but no, those aren't European. Earthbound Misfit. This is my last video. That's about all. Peace out. Alan Tenays. I'm up early from Los Angeles today. You said you will take payment to say stuff. Will you say N-gamer word? JK, clank on, hail. Yeah, I've said it a couple times on exclusives. You don't get in trouble on Rumble and BitChute and sites like that when you're using it in a critical manner. Here I have to say Nigerian or something like that. It's just the way that it be. Pumpkin Fire Crafts is now a monthly supporter. Thank you, Pumpkin Fire. And of course, you can go there to Pumpkin Fire Crafts, link in the description, and you can get some cool merch. We've got bookmarks. We've got custom-made spoons that are etched with the Ouroboros logo. We've got bike chains, and we've got keychains, and belt chains and keychains, and I think there are a couple of other things there as well, actually. And we got biltong, and mugs, and shirts. We're doing it. Swamp Donkey. The problem is that the Californians that move most of the time continue to vote the same way. Fuck California. I disagree. A lot of them have moved to Texas, and it hasn't changed the voting demographic. If anything, I think the people that are leaving are more inclined to vote otherwise. I do not believe that the Californian exodus is a threat to other states demographically as far as voting goes. Ozzy's Robots. TGIF, it's cold. Bring back woolly mammoth coats. Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine? You spin that, it'd be better than wool, probably. Regrog, do you believe in life after death? I believe in reincarnation, uncontrollable and permanent and eternal. I do not believe in an afterlife. I am not a Christian or something like that. Next news story. The death of the old Europe and the rise of the right. Right, marginally speaking, it depends on the issue. Here, Wilders, that's here in the Netherlands. Landslide victory in the Netherlands has shocked Europe. It didn't shock Ayaan Hirsi Ali and Evelyn Marcus. Yes, here's my point. And it's not just about the Netherlands. It's about the U.S., Argentina, what we saw years ago, at least with Brexit and so forth in the UK, what we're seeing with Le Pen in France now, what we're seeing with AfD in Germany, et cetera, and what we're seeing with the rise of a further left. The era of decadence in Europe especially, and in the Western world at large, is beginning to die. The era in which we said, okay, we've accomplished everything, we've got our picket fence and, you know, the two-car garage and all of that shit in the United States, we've got our little flat and our moped and shit in Europe, and we go to the disco every weekend. That era is beginning to end. People are beginning to realize that the music is stopping, and the decadence of the past era is beginning to burn away. When you enter a scenario like that, you're going to have very hard times that will give birth to a new level of leadership within the world. It's sort of the cycle of it's sort of like the hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times thing, and it sort of cycles around. It's actually effectively insinuated within Plato's Republic, the cycle of the Republic. Timocracy, or meritocracy as we might deem it, a more direct democratic system, an oligarchy, tyranny / dictatorship, fascism, something, and cycling around. The idea of the Republic was to take that cyclical system and condense it so that you would still get aspects of each of these 4 points, but at the same time, you don't get the worst. You don't get the best of them. So you don't get the best that you would get under a meritocracy or even a direct democracy, but you also avoid the bad parts of it. Likewise, you don't get the positive aspects of even a tyranny. You know, you won't get a benevolent dictator like a Pinochet, but at the very least, you've also cock-blocked the bad dictator. So it sort of works out. It depends on who the oligarchy is. You can have a group of intellectuals. Technically, the United States was founded by a group of oligarchs. They were from the upper class. They were landowners. They had plantations and shit like that. They were intelligentsia mostly, military brass. But then you also have bad oligarchic movements, like what you would see today in Ukraine, in Russia, parts of Latin America. China certainly would be an oligarchy. It's not really a dictatorial system. Xi doesn't singularly run the show. It's an oligarchic system. The Politburo there effectively runs things. What I would point out is that I think that the era of European decadence, especially the, glass of wine, American cigarette, let me go eat my snails, and the 4-day work week and shit like that, stuff that doesn't actually work at all, looks good on paper, but in practice doesn't work, is beginning to burn away. I think you're going to see a re-solidified European nationalism. I think you're going to see the rise of, hopefully, a libertarian aspect within populism within the United States. The hope is that Canada pulls itself out of the Commonwealth and does the same and stops being the bootlickers of the British. The same with Australia. Get rid of the anti-gunners. Realize that you can be invaded. Realize that you are vulnerable. You are not past industry. You are not past war. You have not gotten past struggle. You have not gotten past scarcity. You still have to be on your guard. The population has to do that first. It starts with a civic understanding within the population, with the people working together, defending themselves, doing their own thing, unbridled and unfettered by centralized government. Otherwise, you end up with a centralized system, and there's no reason for people to defend it from an outside group because it's already tyranny. That's what I would posit. My hope is that more and more people will understand this. My expectation is it's possible that that happens. It's also possible these centralized systems, as we've seen with the YouTube files, the Twitter files, the Zuckerberg case with regards to the FBI, etc., that the powers that be, which are globalized, they don't have any national loyalty, they're loyal only to their own wallets, their own power, are going to try to put the genie back in the bottle, get people to fight one another, get the little people to fight for some ideological reason, some fiscal reason, one group against another, maybe a national reason, ethnic reason, religious reason, and try to keep them from unifying and demanding that they be given more of their rights back. The rights of man need to be restored. I believe very much in classical liberalism. I believe in the founding principles of the United States. I always will. And I would seek, like if I were in charge of the US, I would seek to export them. I would pressure other nations to adopt the same basic concept because it would be the best thing for the world. More liberty? Well, I mean, that's unimpeachable. More guns in the hands of populations so they can fend off tyrants and foreign adversaries? I fail to see the problem. More limitations on government power to restrict people's expression, even if it's not a perfect system. Even if it's only half-assed, it's better than what exists in most of the world today. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm going to be supporting as the years go forward. I think that the death of the neoliberal class in Europe is a shock to the system, with certainly here Wilders, what we see in the Netherlands, possibly we're going to see in France, we're beginning to see in Germany, with Milei in Argentina, with Donald Trump, with Boris Johnson, although that didn't work out so well in the end within the UK because of the dysfunctional government system there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, with Ardern being kicked out in New Zealand, with problems with more and more dissident activity, it seems, in China. You remember the Alibaba founder, not Jack Ma, not that many years ago. He was re-educated because he spoke out against the Chinese government's fiscal policies. We're beginning to see cracks show all over the world in the globalist system. My hope is that we can overcome it. I believe in one world, but I believe in one world comprised of individuals, number one, in their own nations, number two. The globalists see one world that is fractious because it seeks to make everyone in the world the same. It seeks to make every nation the same, and that system just does not work. So my hope is that this will not be the last victory for populism and or civic nationalism and or classical liberalism, all of which can be vaguely overlapped anyway, within the Western world. I'm hoping that it spreads as well to the third world. Sparky. California may be a dump, but it still has a lot of natural resources, harbors, etc. We should grab our recurve bows, saddle up with our stirrup saddles, invade, and turn it into a clanker paradise. Yeah, if they ever do secede and they become their own nation, it would no longer be illegal to invade California. Just saying, there are an awful lot of clankers out there. I'm sure plenty of them are heavily armed. Opinionated junkie. Imagine dying and being born into the Biden family. Yeah, reincarnation can have its drawbacks. I just happen to believe that it's eternal. I think that basically you've already lived every life. You just do that forever. That's just my opinion. Fully coolly. Thoughts on the PBD interview with the Prince of Iran? Seems he wants to be a federal puppet so bad. Haven't seen it. I'll have to look it up. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Greetings to you. Ozzy's Robots. If Nikki Haley's wish came true and anonymity disappeared from the web, would that also eliminate governmental sock puppets accounts and Chinese bots, etc.? No, they would get around that ban. Because those who make the law are usually not bound directly by it. That's the whole problem of having an expansive legal system. Mostly okay. Sticks, can I get a shout out for my new song that released today on all streaming platforms? Band name, Mostly Okay. Song title, Change of Pace. Consider yourself shouted out. Stephen Nizick, I'm Commander Sticks, and this is my favorite stream on the YouTubes. Got some more over on Rumble. We gotta get to them. Oh, God. Midwest Finest 95. Instead of N-word, just say ninja. These ninjas be trippin'. Trip boom. Damn those damn riggers. Hopefully populism can rise to beat the shit out of the old uniparty system. Seems to be having a good time of it currently. Trip boom. Uniparty. Yes, don't worry. I read it out properly. Swamp Donkey. Pinochet did nothing wrong since communists deny individuality. They are not people. They are property of the state. Technically speaking, you can make that intellectual argument. King of Biltong. Good morning from Anton's in Roanoke, Texas. Free shipping on your Biltong using code STICKS on www.landofbiltong.com and www.antonsusa.com. Thanks to Parzival and some anonymous clankers for visiting #ClankNation. Yeah, nice. God, you get a lot of visitors who are fans of the channel. Jesus. Wonder how much beef he sells actually in a week. It must be like several cows worth or something. Alan Tanase, New World Order, more like New Whore Order. Hungry Bone Dog, you still consider yourself monarchist? Do you think the USA can become libertarian again, or are we doomed to a cyberpunk corporate state hell? I'm a classical liberal. I'm a little bit beyond monarchism. But I consider myself a libertarian. I believe in libertarian, small l, of course, in the sense that our founders incepted our nation. I'm not anti-state. I'm anti-overly powerful state. We have a massively overly powerful state. We give it far too much money, far too much latitude, and it shouldn't be that way. If the United States is going to be the light of the Western civilization sort of thing, you need to have much less government. You need to get it out of the way in as many endeavors as you can without literally collapsing the system you've created. It'd be a slow and progressive effort, but I think that it can be done. Dat Pie over there. Welcome to Sticks Down. We have 2 matches. Last one will be for the inaugural Sticks Down Championship. We start today with Aussie's Robots versus Antons, with our main event against Wasted and Sigil for the title. Your mom was a hamster. Clank from Pennsylvania. Clank, clank. Next news story. Tucker Carlson has endorsed Donald Trump. I'm sure this comes as a shock to all the Desantis fans because, well, Tucker Carlson once said that he fucking hated Trump several years ago in a private email, if I remember correctly. Why would he endorse him? I'll tell you why. Tucker Carlson is interesting. I think that he's semi-principled, but not fully principled. He worked for Fox News. He had to muzzle himself, of course, because he was getting a paycheck. He got too big for his britches, thought he could speak freely, and they canned him. And then at that point, I think that he sort of woke up and realized, he smelled the coffee and realized, oh shit, it doesn't matter if I'm the main draw on the whole network. These people are ideologically motivated. And overall, the amount of money that I bring in is still less than the amount that the advertisers in total bring in, and they're all pissed at me because I decided to question the narrative. And so I think that he, in turn, is pissed at Fox, is pissed at the Uniparty, and that's why I think he decided to endorse Trump, because Trump is his vengeance. Trump is the smasher of the system. Trump is the only one that's running that fundamentally wants to overhaul the way in which things work. I know Ramaswamy talks a big game, but he's not time-tested, and I have no clue if I can take him seriously. I know that Ron DeSantis has done some good things. He also talks a big game, but then you've got HB 269, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm worried about some of his donor backing as well, including Vanderplats. Nikki Haley doesn't even pretend. She's not there to smash the system. She's there to enrich it and make it bigger and more onerous, more tyrannical and powerful. And then you got Chris Christie. He's there for the donuts. Did you see the other day that there were 10,000 Krispy Kreme donuts that were stolen? And you looked at the post, and all it was a bunch of pictures of Chris Christie. I put in that one of him looking demonic at the second, I think it was the second debate there, where he's leaning down over the blue lights there, and he looks like a bloated demon. I thought that was so great. It was one of the funniest fucking things ever. So actually, that's right up there. It's outside of my top 5, but it's probably within at least the top 20, along with Hingy Wingy and a few other things that I've talked about in the past. Tucker Carlson, in his own words here. Tucker says he's supporting Trump in 2024. I became an active Trump supporter when they raided Mar-a-Lago last summer. This just can't stand. I'm voting for Trump, and if they convict him, I will send in the max donations and I will lead protests. That's how I feel. I feel about the same, although I never wavered on supporting Trump from the get-go, and I never hated him. Tucker, I think, grew to dislike him in some ways based on the fact that Donald Trump is hard to deal with. He has the, I'm the TV star, this is my boardroom mentality. I would not want to work for Donald Trump. To be clear, as an avid fan of his, as someone who would gladly go to the Mar-a-Lago and shake his hand, I'd be glad to try, the Trump Tower guacamole or something like that. Being around Trump would be fun, I think, unless you have to take his fucking orders. In which case, it would be a little bit like being around Elvis Presley or Michael Jackson or some other superstar. He leads everything that goes on, and if you deviate in any way, he probably berates you. I don't think that the Apprentice thing was even a persona. I don't think that that's Trump acting, by the way. That's Trump being his real self. You're a jackass. You're a piece of shit loser. What the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck out of my office. I think that would genuinely be the way in which he would manage things. Now, I appreciate that. Does it make it easy to work with your cabinet? No, which might be why most of his former cabinet has decided not to endorse him. Does it make it easy to work with him when you're in the legislature and he's the chief executive and thinks he's the God King? No. Does it make him effective in diplomacy? Oh, hell yes, especially East Asian diplomacy. I've talked about North Korea multiple times, of course, as well as China and certain other countries. Does it make it easier to deal with hostile situations? Fuck yes. Does it make it easier to deal with people that don't like you and that you're not going to get along with anyway? Yeah, to an extent, absolutely it does. Donald Trump has what it takes. I'll definitely be voting for him. It's absolutely the case, though, that he's difficult to work with. Tucker Carlson, in the end, decided to endorse him anyway. I'm sure there were some behind-the-scenes bants between Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump that led up to that infamous leaked email where Tucker says, well, Trump's a fuck him, he's a goddamn asshole. Well, yeah, but he's our asshole. That's the whole point. If you're going to do diplomacy in North Korea or Russia or something, you better be a little bit of an asshole now, shouldn't you? You can't be the wine-totaling, elitist, crystal-handed, weak-wristed class sort of thing. You can't do that. You can't expect you're going to get the same reception in Beijing as you get in Paris. And Donald Trump understands that at this particular juncture, with foreign policy, including on our own border, being so outsizedly important, we need to re-elect Donald Trump. We desperately need MAGA populism back. Even if it dies off, at least we have buy ourselves 4 more years as a republic to generally enjoy ourselves and be comfortable. And the hope is that he breaks all the toys, because now he's like, hey, they tried to put me in federal prison for 10,000 years. I don't think that I owe them any allegiance. By the way, tomorrow I'll be making a video. There are now clear and transparent dog whistles from the legacy media to try to get Trump killed. And I'm warning people that the possibility does exist that that does happen. I'm hoping it doesn't. I hope he has his private security surrounding him at all times. Don't rely on the Secret Service. Have your own private security there as well. Fucking have the armed MAGA members. They'll defend you. Whatever you have to do. Wear the goddamn bulletproof vest. Does it look great? No. Wear it anyway. Because there are clearly mainline legacy outlets that are hoping to push people into believing that he's the uprising next Adolf Hitler, that if he's reelected, he will become a dictator. And when people believe that, especially stupid, mentally ill people who have a penchant for paranoia, they may take the shot. And so, unfortunately, I'll have to report on that tomorrow. But I will be voting for Trump. Even if he dies at this point, I'd probably vote for him. Nobody else in the field is worth voting for, and I'm not going to vote for Biden. So, Deus Flex. Speaking of reincarnation, do you believe General Patton broke the Matrix and was able to recall past lives, or was he just crazy? I do not believe in past life regression, no. Don't think he was crazy. I think he was very smart. He was definitely right on foreign policy. We should have taken his advice on the Soviet Union, but that doesn't mean that everything that he believed was true. Harrison Bergeron. Big Mike has been running around D.C. Taking private meetings without bringing his bottom. Wow. Not financial advice. Rumble stock at 443. Buy low. Awoo Patrol. With all the chicanery in this lawful election in 2020, justified by the cool, I think Ben Carson would be an excellent running mate with his medical experience. I would have no problem with Ben Carson as running mate. You could do better, but you could definitely do worse, and he's innocuous enough. Yeah, I may not like the Jesus, but I'll accept it. I'll forgive it. Maxwell JW. Thoughts on the Rhodey Bush War? There was some discourse on Twitter the other day over it. Don't necessarily like apartheid, but it's a lesser evil compared to communism, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know an enormous amount about Rhodesia, admittedly. While I like history, I haven't studied so much about that. I would say anyone that's resisting communism is fundamentally justified in whatever means they feel necessary to do so, short of killing civilians. Sparky, it occurred to me that Anton could expand into doggy treats if he has such a thing as trimmings or factory seconds, but I fear the quality would still be so good people might eat them. Hey, that's not a bad idea. Maybe Anton should think about that one. Maybe he's got dogs and he already feeds the scraps to them. Trip Boom. Sticks, it's hard to guess who's going to be the VP. What do you think about Tucker, since he's been with Trump for a few events, maybe testing the waters? He's on the short list, I guarantee you. You could do better, but you could definitely do worse. And it would definitely be a shock to the system. Drunk and Baked. Can I get a happy birthday and a clank for Brendan? Happy birthday and a clank for Brendan. I don't have any spoon to clank here, but close enough, I suppose. A can tab bump. What the fuck, lol, what? No one cares what I said in 08, but they do when it's someone like Ramaswamy. Looking at his speeches and his books, he basically came to freedom and Trump the same way I did. He is a possible backup. I think he's on the list, yeah. Pumpkin Fire Crafts. Good morning, Clankers. 10% off anything in the store using code CLANKARMY. Good till midnight, Sunday night PST. That's Pumpkin Fire Crafts. Again, link in the description. You can get all sorts of things. You've got keychains, keychains. What was it? Bike chains? I can't remember another one. As custom-made spoons and also bookmarks. My apologies. What's the other kind of chain? Keychains and belt chains, I think. Maybe, kind of, sort of. I don't know. Never had one. Alan Tenaz, I heard AOC wanted to work for Trump and got fired, but I can't confirm. But that's what I heard. I think that that's not true. Wow, need to prep for Sabbath now. You have a clank day. Thank you. Eat some matzo. Matzo soup, by the way. Delicious. King of Biltong, all our offcuts and trimmings go to our in-house made savory pastry pies. Why did you not tell me that these existed? I'm going to eat one. That sounds great. I hope it's with a nice, fluffy, buttery pie crust. Next news story. The administrative state may survive a bit longer, despite Team Trump's fervent wish. After hours of oral arguments Wednesday in SEC versus Jarkizi, the Supreme Court's conservative majority appeared ready to rule on relatively narrow grounds. Yes, it looks like the Supreme Court is going to rule narrowly on the SEC case. So the SEC right now effectively has carte blanche to do whatever the fucking hell it wants. It can go after literally anyone for any reason and basically is accountable to nobody. That's not the way bureaus were supposed to work. They were supposed to be directly accountable to Congress and or the executive branch and directly constrained to certain capabilities. Most bureaus have gone far beyond that. The FBI would be one of them. They're not supposed to be encouraging Twitter to ban people for having the wrong political opinions, for example, or the wrong medical opinions. The CIA is not supposed to be running cocaine. Fast and Furious should not have happened, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on and on. The ATF does not need to be rating people for having the wrong kind of brace and stuff like that. Now, unfortunately, it looks like the Supreme Court is not going to put the genie fully back in the bottle. It looks like a narrow ruling is coming. This is generally predictable with the Supreme Court. When they tend to err on the side of caution. This can be infuriating, but it can also be a good thing. Because when they err on the side of caution, what they're signaling is this is not technically speaking a finalized decision. There will be more cases pertinent that skirt the original decision making. We're letting states and Congress potentially, et cetera, deal with the situation in the meantime. Sometimes they're very explicit about that. The federal court system, too, like with the case involving the NSA, the federal courts ruled that the NSA spying was unconstitutional, but then they bounced it to Congress and said, look, we're finding this unconstitutional. You have to change the way in which it's being done, but we're going to let you work that out pending further appeal. And unfortunately, in the end, that wasn't the greatest decision. Of course, Ted Cruz decided to be a turncoat on the issue and ended the filibuster that Rand Paul, which we'll be talking about later, decided to initiate. And Rand was not very happy with Ted Cruz over that. You could tell by the look in his face when the filibuster ended that he was real goddamn pissed. I guarantee fiery words were spoken that night. If not in person, at least on email and phone calls. A drunken Rand Paul calling up Ted Cruz at 2 a.m. You're not sleeping, fucker. You backstabbed me. What the fuck is your problem? Oh, man, to be a fly on the wall in that room when they met the next time. Can you imagine Rand Paul, the look on his face staring daggers at Ted Cruz? Now they have to work together and shit like that. Anyway, my hope is that the SEC gets hammered. But it looks like it's unfortunately probably going to be a bit watered down. We're going to wait and see. We're going to remain hopeful. Bureaucracy should completely be abolished effectively. Any bureau should operate within very, very stringent, extremely explicit confines and no further. And you could have that sort of bureaucratic state for the purposes you actually need it with like maybe 10, 15% of the current bureaucratic budget and like 10, 15% of the staff. And less than 10 to 15% of the current capabilities, by the way. That's what I think should be done. Let the states handle it. That way people can choose which state they want to live in, partially based on how dumb the bureaucracy is there. Like, who the fuck would want to live in California at that point? Nah, let's see. Yeah, Ramaswamy and Clank Army. King of... I already did that one, Anton. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Uh-oh, our zombies here. Now I gotta wait for Sigil to weigh in. Deck Defender. Hey, Stick Steve hates socialism at a Better Place Bakery in northern Michigan. We got dog treats. We got professional picks now. We need excellent descriptions. Are you game? We're on Etsy. Steve hates socialism at a Better Place Bakery in northern Michigan. They've got dog treats. News to me. I don't have a dog, though. Maybe they're tasty for humans, too. BW. What I think about 22% of blacks leaving Biden. I think it won't be 22% in the end, but it'll be more than before, and it'll be deadly for his campaign. Red Raider Matthias, Sticks, it's been a minute. Can I get a shout out for my little sister and her new husband, Emily and Adam? Also, wish me luck that work gives me a bonus next week. More cash for you and Bill Tong. Clank, shout out to Emily and Adam, and I'm wishing you well for your bonus. Deus Flex, as someone based on the other side of the pond, how do you think the globalists will respond to the Dublin riots? Well, they're already investigating Conor McGregor for hate speech, so that probably is a good indicator of the direction that they're going. Little do they know that's exactly a way to piss more people off and get more people to join populist movements. Swamp Donkey, the issue with these departments like the ATF is an easy one. If your state that is pro-gun simply refuses the agency to operate within their boundaries, use your state power to run them out. They can't always do that, unfortunately, although they should be allowed to do so. I do agree with you. GLV Save 31. Here's $10 for 10 years of me watching you. Long-term Clank. Thank you. Hope you and everyone else watching here have a great day. And you too, my man. Or woman. I'm not sure. I don't want to misgender anyone. Next news story. I rise in strong support of this scientific proposal. Not so dead as a dodo. De-extinction plan to reintroduce the bird to Mauritius. Yes, the dodo was hunted to extinction centuries ago because they're clumsy. And apparently they don't really have a fear of humans. They didn't, I think, have any predators on the islands that they were on, so they didn't have to. And they're tasty, supposedly, and very, very nutritious. And I really, really want to eat a dodo bird. So I'm asking them to please expedite the plan to bring them back. An audacious collaboration between geneticists and conservationists plans to bring back the extinct dodo and reintroduce it to once native habitat in Mauritius. You should put them elsewhere too. Who knows? Maybe they're good for biodiversity. US-based biotechnology and genetic engineering company Colossal Biosciences, which is pursuing the de-extinction of multiple species, including the woolly mammoth, boy oh boy, wouldn't that be goddamn fun, has entered a partnership with the Meridian Wildlife Foundation to find a suitable location for the large flightless birds. The dodo has been extinct since 1681. A combination of predation by humans and animals introduced by humans led to its downfall, turning it into a textbook case for extinction. But according to the partners, its return to Mauritius could benefit the dodo's immediate environment and other species. Now, what they're planning to do is use a reasonably related bird from the region and use its egg cells and inject the genetic material, I guess using CRISPR or something, into the cell. And then the hope is that dodos are born. And then the egg is, of course, fertilized within one of these related birds. They've thought about the same thing with woolly mammoths. The idea is that if you pull it off, you implant it into a modern-day elephant, African or Asian, I'm not sure which one they're focusing on, and you can have mammoths actually being born. I've got one concern, and I made a video years ago on the subject. I like this. I want the saber-toothed cat back. I want the giant sloth back. Oh, that might be difficult because I'm not sure what surrogate you could use for it without the surrogate dying, but maybe. Woolly mammoth, the mastodon, the dire wolf, the dodo bird, the great auk, all of these things can be brought back. We have the Tasmanian tiger. We have genetic samples of these animals. We're capable of making effectively the same animal. And it would actually be the same species. Genetically speaking, locked in time, it would actually be a mammoth. It would actually be a dodo. The dodo went extinct only a few centuries ago, so genetic samples more common than for the woolly mammoth or the mastodon or something. There's one problem, and that's that it is absolutely, utterly inhumane to bring back only one animal. So the prototype animals that you bring forth, I would absolutely condemn it if they were only to do like one trial. And they're like, oh, okay, we've impregnated this bird, fairly recent relative, with a dodo. But that dodo doesn't have anything to communicate with. And also, I think that it could cause a problem with inbreeding. The best probable solution for this is to continue genetic studies, look at the genes, how do they operate. You could probably use AI to look through the sequence and figure out sort of, what's going on with the proteins it's synthesizing here, which directly leads to development, etc. And then create a number of the animals which have been artificially genetically differentiated. Same DNA, but you're swapping out alleles effectively. That way you avoid inbreeding. You avoid social isolation, which can be very detrimental to an animal's mental health. And I don't want to see animals suffer because I am a little bit of an animal rights person. If it is possible to prevent suffering, then it should always take place. Like, I don't like factory farming, for example. But bringing back the dodo? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely you should bring back the dodo. And the woolly mammoth and all of these other things. Woolly mammoths ate a lot of pine cones and shit like that. They'd probably do perfectly fine in northern Siberia. They'd be just fine in northern Canada. The saber-toothed tiger. What, are you worried about a large predatory species? In the areas that it would be native to, you've already got grizzly bears and shit, so I don't know what your concern is. Maybe the saber-toothed tiger fights the grizzly bear on your behalf. It'll be like a Skyrim episode or something. I think that it's a good idea to do de-extinction. I just think that we need a little bit longer to fully study the DNA and figure out how it fully works. Not just have the sequence, but figure out really how it works in order to make sure the inbreeding, and I mean, otherwise you're gonna have an inbred population be all fucked up anyway. So what's the fucking point? The species probably fails anyway. You get 20 near clones that are fucking each other. It's gonna be a little bit difficult to make sure that they stay genetically healthy. By the way, please send no more super chats. There's a shit ton more here, and I've still got another news article. We're gonna talk about Rand Paul's Heimlich maneuver. Let's see. Senor faces. Sticking out your gap for the Rizzler. You're so skibbity. You're so phantom tax. I just want to be your Sigma. That's probably song lyrics or something, but I don't know. Christian Workman. Thoughts on Mark Dice. I have no problem with Mark Dice. I've watched some of his content. Haven't watched any of it recently, though. Absurdium. Morning. Sticks. You love Fallout, but have you played Starfield? Can you give me a succinct analytical take on that? Haven't played it, and I don't intend to. It looks like a knockoff of Fallout or Elder Scrolls that has been dumbed down, and I'm not interested in space games much anyway. I much prefer the semi-realism of something that's like sword and sorcery, like a Skyrim-style game, or something that's semi-realistic, like post-apocalyptic, like a Fallout title. Dat Pie over there. Now with Ozzy v. Anton. That's not Ozzy. Wait, it's humping Anton's. A sex bot is fighting for him. Anton sprays syrup, taking out the bot, and uses a button. It's raining biltong. Ozzy buried winner Anton's. What? We're getting to levels of meme on this channel never before thought possible. The Happy Plague Doctor. Your county sheriff is the ultimate constitutional authority in your area. He can kick out any agency he sees fit. Yeah, till he gets detained by agency members that outnumber him 20-1. That's the problem. The Constitution is often ignored in favor of pragmatism within situations. Peyton Walter sent $100, by the way. Thank you very much. Late reward for comment. Biden is the banjo kid from Deliverance. Still laughing a week later. Yes, Joe Biden is indeed the absolute doppelganger of the kid from Deliverance. You know, from the dueling banjo singing, ding, 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 ding. He looks exactly like him if he were elderly. I mean, he's got the squinty, close-set eyes, the sort of oversized forehead, kind of weird hair, by the way. The retardation in this particular character. I realize that the actor who played the Banjo Kid isn't actually messed up and just kind of looks a little bit odd, but, you know, the character is meant to be inbred, sort of hillbilly banjo player. That's the whole point. Yes, Joe Biden's family is white trash. From the inbred part of the United States, from Inbredville. He just happened to get in at the right time and make a living. And he's made a lot of money being the inbred banjo Deliverance kid only in the Senate. I bet the people of Delaware wish they had figured out somebody else to vote for. Johnny Azul. I'm going to see Depeche Mode in concert on Sunday. What's your favorite track of theirs? Clank. All of them, actually. I've never heard of song by them that I didn't like, including some of like the sloppy second sort of B-side shit, you know, even the more recent ones. I mean, Enjoy the Silence would be the basic bitch take. I think, what's my all-time favorite song by them? I can't answer the question. I just like too many of their songs too much to actually find one that's my favorite. I name about 20 of them. Sparky, another great idea for Anton. Dodo bird biltong. I don't know if you can make biltong from bird flesh. EW, we already have one animal that would be dead if we didn't take care of it because it's cute. The panda. Yeah, exactly. Pandas would have gone extinct if not for humans, you know, artificially fucking them with, insemination dildos and shit. Sparky. or a whole de-extinction category, saber-toothed tigers, mammoths, Tasmanian tigers, etc. Anything that man contributed to the extinction of, definitely it is justified to bring it back. That'd be the dodo, the great auk, arguably the mammoth, possibly the giant sloth, although again, it's not clear how you would actually, you'd have to use an artificial womb, I would assume. Otherwise, the baby, I mean, if you put it in a modern sloth, if they're even genetically related enough for them to give birth, I think it'd kill it. It'd probably be, the baby would be bigger than the actual sloth. It'd probably kill them coming out. Anything like that. The dire wolf, arguably. The cave bear. Garrett, as a fellow Northern Michiganer, I'm going to have a visit to visit a Better Place bakery. Sounds cool. Yeah, please no more super chats, though, as I get through the last news story here with Rand Paul. Wasted bonehead. Stixy, if you ever eat a dodo bird, I recommend taking a picture of the meal, posting it on Twitter, and tagging Paid-Up. Watch them cope and seethe. Same goes for the mammoth, too. Actually, some people have eaten mammoth meat in recent times. Some mammoths have been frozen so perfectly that their meat is still edible. According to reports, it doesn't have any flavor anymore and basically just falls apart into mush and isn't very good, but they have actually eaten woolly mammoth, yeah. Wasted bonehead, come to Bonehead's Diner. Mammoth steaks coming soon. Yum, yum. Yeah, I'll wait until they have fresh mammoth steaks. Ozzy's Robots, my bots are indefatigable. They eat biltong for breakfast. And then the final news story of the day, Rand Paul performs Heimlich on fellow GOP senator. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa almost choked to death, and Rand Paul saved her. By the way, I have a funny story I'll tell you in a minute. Washington, Senator Rand Paul can perform the Heimlich maneuver on Joni Ernst during the Republican conference lunch at the Capitol on Thursday, Ernst tweeted. Can't help but choke on the woke policies Dems are forcing down our throats. Thanks, Dr. Rand Paul, Ernst said in a post on X, so he's making fun of it. But it wasn't woke policies she was choking on. It was food she had provided to the GOP conference as part of a tradition that a different senator each week brings food from their home state. So she was choking on her own food, I think. It was Iowa Day. Lots of big pork chops and beef sandwiches. Yeah, you want to make sure to chew that thoroughly. Republicans who attended the lunch said they were thankful for the quick action by Paul, who has also practiced medicine as an eye doctor. Yes, he's an optometrist. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, who often spars with Paul over policy issues, said, it's a good thing he did. God bless Rand Paul. I never thought I'd say that. Senator Cynthia Loomis of Wyoming said, it was great that Rand was there. Meanwhile, the Democrats are probably like, fuck, I wish that he had missed the lunch so that there'd be one GOP senator short. Anyway, let me tell a quick story before I go offline. Again, no more super chats. I'll just tell you this real quick. One time a few years ago, I almost choked to death. And I don't think that I've ever mentioned this. I made a steak, and it was really, really good, by the way. And I was really sad when, the last part fell on the floor out of my throat. I cooked a really, really nice medium rare steak. And I was enjoying that with potatoes and green beans and stuff. I cooked a really nice dinner. And as I was getting towards the end, I cut off a little bit more than I could chew, right? I figured, well, it's medium rare and stuff. I was going to chew it into pieces in my mouth. I thought I had cut it up just enough so that I could potentially swallow it, but I couldn't swallow it. And I was chewing it apart like, you would normally do, but then I accidentally swallowed it. I don't know exactly how it happened. And it got stuck in my throat, and I immediately began choking. And I'm like, shit. And I was laughing at the time because I'm thinking about how your reaction, all of you in the audience, would be if my cause of death were that I choked on a piece of steak, and how funny it would be to Razorfist because it's medium rare. And I would definitely want him to know that the medium rare steak choked me to death. And I got up, and Liz thought that I was joking. She did not believe that I was choking, but rather that I was joking, that I was, toying with her, trolling her. And then she realized that I wasn't. Now, she doesn't know how to do the Heimlich maneuver. Thankfully, I know how to self-Heimlich to an extent. And she was pounding me on the back, which is what you're supposed to. If you can't do the Heimlich maneuver, you don't really have anything else you can do. I managed to get it out with Liz's help and, of course, didn't choke to death or I wouldn't be here today. But I just remember at the last moment, the whole event was maybe 15 seconds, so it came out fairly easily. I was just thinking to myself how fucking funny it was. I didn't even fear the fact that I might die. I was literally laughing inwardly. I was like, I'm going to die choking on a piece of medium rare steak. This is going to be the ultimate meme. It's going to be fucking hilarious. It'll be all over the place. That's how I thought of it. I don't know. It's inexplicable. You'd think that, oh my God, you might literally pass out, asphyxiate, and die on a piece of steak. I wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking about how fucking funny it was. It was almost like a blur. But yeah, it's hands to throat, universal choking symbol. Yes, I was doing that. I was pointing like this to Liz. I'm like, couldn't speak, of course. I'm choking to death. But I mean, it was more humor than it was fear. It's like, mentally speaking, I'm definitely not normal, I suppose. By the way, Liz just got back. So yeah, I'm going to have to go offline just a second, though, because there are a couple more super chats. So just a sec. All right, everyone, Liz is back, so I'm going to get through these last few super chats, but please do not send any more because, got to eat at some point, do other things. Bad Burrito, Socialist Democrats are woke walking into jail. Sparky, de-extinction category was also meant for Anton's biltong. Yeah, there's going to be a buffalo shortage when I get through with it. Alan Smithy, now Rand swoops in like Newsom would for Biden. Yeah. Sparky, ophthalmologist. Optometrists are MDs. Yes, you are correct. My apologies for using the wrong word. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my almost choking on steak story. Liz is over there laughing now. It was an interesting time. We're very thankful that Rand Paul was there because he's a medical doctor, so clearly he knows how to do the Heimlich maneuver. I'm just wondering if he's done it before, like if he's ever had to save anyone else from choking, or if Joni Ernst said literally a member of Congress is the first person he saves with the Heimlich maneuver while she's choking on her own pork chops. I just thought that story was off the chain. Rand Paul has one weird goddamn life. Anyway, I'm going to go offline now. Of course, I don't go live during the weekends. I thank all of you for tuning in. The over 6,000 people watching live at the moment, including almost 4,000 over on Rumble. I would stay longer, but the baby probably needs a snack and snuggles and stuff, and I need a break and a good weekend. So that's about all. Peace out.